Are you thinking about the future and how to protect your loved ones? Creating a will is one of the most important steps you can take to ensure your wishes are carried out and your family is taken care of. That's why we're excited to tell you about a very special offer from Which Wills. Which Wills offers a straightforward, affordable and trusted service for writing your will. Whether you need a simple will or something more complex, our expert team is here to help you every step of the way. With Which Wills, you get access to legal professionals who can answer your questions on a one-to-one basis, customizable options to suit your specific needs and circumstances, and peace of mind knowing that your will is legally sound and your wishes will be respected. You can start the process from the comfort of your own home. Just visit whichwills.which.co.uk/premium-30 to get started. That's whichwills.which.co.uk/premium-30. And if you purchase before the 30th of September, you will get 30% off Which's premium will service. Don't put it off any longer. Secure your family's future today.
Hello and welcome to the Which Shorts podcast. I'm James Rowe. This is the podcast that brings you the very best from Which, with a weekly taster of some of the brilliant journalism you can expect from your suite of magazines. This week we're looking at the differences between Apple and Android operating systems on our mobile phones. In the August edition of the Which Tech magazine, Martin Pratt aimed to find out which is your best option for when you're looking to upgrade. Here's his piece, adapted for the podcast, read by Michael Passingham.
I'd like to run some names past you. Have you heard of Sailfish or Graphene OS? Maybe Ubuntu, the Linux-based OS. If you're drawing a blank, it's no surprise. These operating systems are minnows compared to iOS and Android. Even the enormous Microsoft, after spending billions in acquisitions, development and marketing, bowed out of the smartphone market when it realized that Apple and Google's stranglehold was a vice grip that couldn't be loosened. So you've realistically got two choices. Do you choose the slick, finely tuned system centered around rows of apps from tech giant A, or the slick, finely tuned system centered around rows of apps from tech giant B? On the surface, they're similar, but dig deeper and you find differences that could make one or the other the best choice for you. Android is open source, which means the software is more accessible to developers. Android users, therefore, have more options for how their phone looks and operates. Apple allows some customization, but holds the reins tighter. Take the home screen, for example. Both Apple and Android have rows of apps, optional folders, and widgets, but Android widgets can be different sizes, and apps can be arranged however you like. If you want one app in each corner, or have them off the home screen entirely, you can. With Apple, you can only change the order and pop things into folders, although this will soon change when the new iOS 18 update is available. On Android, you can even install new loaders that change the layout and appearance of the OS completely. One example is Minimalist Phone, which puts your apps into a monochrome list to reduce screen time, or Niagara, designed to be easier to use one-handed. You don't have this option on iPhone, and while there are benefits to every iOS home screen looking similar, it's hard to shake the feeling that Apple has sold you a home where you can't rearrange the furniture. Let's now look at security and privacy. Google's open door policy allows for downloading apps from the internet, known as APKs, Android application packages, rather than its own Play Store, or from app stores other than Google's. Choice and flexibility are great, but take care, downloading apps this way can open the door to malware. Apple has the App Store, and everything on it is checked to make sure it won't install anything nasty. A recent EU ruling, though, forced Apple to allow alternative app stores. Apple-equivalent APKs are unlikely, and those of us in the UK won't benefit from it anyway. Both operating systems let you see what data apps are collecting so that you can restrict them if needs be. But iPhones go further with app tracking transparency, which shows you when an app is wanting to track you even when you're using other apps, and gives you the option to say no. So, are apps the difference? Well, the popularity of Android and iOS means developers must release their apps on both operating systems if they want to reach the most people. And there's lots of apps, and we mean lots. A newborn downloading a new app every hour until they're 100 years old would only experience a third of what's currently available on iOS and just a sixth of what's on Android. The Google Play Store has more than 3.5 million apps, and the Apple App Store has around half that. But the numbers aren't the whole story. Most developers build their apps for iOS first, so they're tailored to the hardware and get updates sooner. This prioritization is because there are only a handful of iPhones that developers need to build for, where there are hundreds of Android devices with different capabilities, and it's harder to factor them all in when designing or updating an app. As a result, the final experience may not be as optimized on your Android handset as it is on an iPhone, but the massive choice on Google's platform could mean there are more diamonds waiting to be discovered. Let's talk about hardware. Only Apple makes iPhones, but Android can be put on phones from any other brand. Having far more hardware choice gives Android the edge when it comes to specific needs. If you want one with a super long-range optical camera zoom, you have to go Android. Folding phone? Yeah, that's Android. Lightning fast charging? You get the picture. Then there's cost. Even if you choose an older generation iPhone, you're looking at spending at least £500 to buy it new, and not everyone needs high-end specs with the high prices that come with them. If you're spending less and don't want to look at refurbished, where iPhones start from around £350, Android is the best choice. Having your operating system spread far and wide leads to some problems though. Apple controls its hardware and software, so when it releases an update, iPhones get it immediately. When Google updates Android, only its own brand Pixel phones get it as swiftly. If you got a phone from Samsung, Sony, or Xiaomi, or any other Android manufacturer, you need to wait for those brands to test and release the update themselves. Which can be annoying when you can see Pixel owners have been enjoying an update for months. Generally, the more expensive your non-Google Android phone, the quicker you'll get the update. There's also the risk that you won't get an update at all. Apple promises security support for iPhones for at least 5 years. Only Samsung and Google Pixel get more, with 7 years, but that's only on a few handsets. Some brand security support doesn't even last the length of an average contract. So, what do our labs here at Which say? Years of refinement and competition has led to both platforms excelling. They're so intuitive that even toddlers can use them, and it's only once we're set in our ways that things can start to feel tricky. There are differences to navigation and where things are located on each operating system. One isn't harder to use, you just need to get used to it, so don't let any perceived complexity put you off switching. Your decision should boil down to which OS suits you and what you want from your phone. If you want to customize your handset and make it feel unique, or you have specific hardware requirements that Apple can't fulfill, then Android is for you. iOS is the way to go if you want the best app experience and timely software updates, and if you want to make the most of other Apple tech. If you're thinking about switching to an iPhone, here's some things to consider. The latest crop of iPhones are the 15, 15 Plus, 15 Pro, and 15 Pro Max. And as you move up, you'll find bigger, brighter screens, more cameras, and a better processor, but naturally, the price increases too. What about Androids? There are hundreds of handsets ranging from £90 to over £1,500. Samsung is an obvious choice, particularly as it supports its phones for longer than most brands. Choosing Google Pixel means you get software updates quickly, and between 5 and 7 years of support. Brands such as Xiaomi and Honor get you high-end specs for less, but can be supported for as little as 2 years.
Michael Passingham was reading that piece by Martin Pratt, originally published in the August edition of the Which Tech magazine. To read it in full, be sure to become a member of Which Tech. I'll pop a link in the show notes for you to find out more. We'll be back next week for another episode of Which Short, but in the meantime, why not check out Which Money Short on the Which Money podcast feed. Every fortnight we give you a taster of the Which Money magazine, just like we do here on Short with the travel, gardening, tech and regular Which mags. Just search Which Money wherever you're listening. Which Short was produced and edited by me, James Rowe, while the exec producer was Grace Farrell.
As the summer comes to an end, you may not know how to prep your garden for the autumn and winter months ahead. Rest assured, because we have a team of experts at Which Gardening who can give you practical advice. Better still, you can join Which Gardening right now and receive 25% off the usual price for an annual subscription. By joining Which Gardening, you'll receive the magazine direct to your door. It's packed full of useful advice, plus our best buy recommendations. You'll also gain access to one-to-one gardening advice so you can get your questions answered with clear advice tailored to your own particular needs. So to join Which Gardening and receive 25% off the usual price, just head to signup.which.co.uk/WLP-gardening. That's signup.which.co.uk/WLP-gardening to join Which Gardening for just £36.75 for a whole year. Be quick, this offer ends on the 11th of September.